All right, let's dive in. We're not going to talk about cybersecurity like it's some scary technical thing that only the IT folks have to worry about. No. We're going to talk about it as something way more personal, a skill, really, an essential skill that every single one of us needs to have in today's world. And, that quote really just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? It's so important to remember that the internet, well, it wasn't built to be some safe, friendly playground. It's much more like a massive, chaotic marketplace, and sometimes a hunting ground. Getting that one simple truth locked in your head, that's the absolute first step to keeping yourself safe out there. Okay, get ready for this number because it's a big one. A staggering 95%. 95% of all successful cybersecurity breaches happen because of human error. Now, you might hear that and think, wow, we're the problem. But I want you to flip that on its head. I don't see that as a weakness at all. I see it as our biggest opportunity. Because if we're the main cause, that means we can also be the main solution. And that leads us to this. This is the whole point of our conversation today. You hear people say humans are the weakest link in security. Forget that. That's totally wrong. You're not the weakest link. You are the most critical line of defense. You're the human firewall. Think about it. All the fancy tech in the world, firewalls, antivirus software, none of it matters if a bad guy can just trick you into letting them in the front door. That's where you come in. You're the gatekeeper. So, the big question is, how do we actually become a good human firewall? Well, it all starts with a shift in thinking. See, real security isn't just a checklist you run through once a year. It's not about ticking a box. It's about building a whole culture, a mindset. And this chart, this lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got what we call tick box compliance. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's that once-a-year training video that everyone clicks through and forgets about 5 minutes later. It leads to that whole, not my job way of thinking. But on the other side, that's where we want to be. That's a security culture. It's not about a single event. It's about being aware all the time. It's about everyone feeling like, hey, we're all in this together. It's about understanding the risks, not just blindly following rules out of fear. Exactly. You can't just throw technology at the problem and hope it goes away. All those tools are super important, don't get me wrong, but they're only one piece of the puzzle. They can't stop everything, and that's precisely why the human element, that security culture we just talked about, is absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, so let's get practical. Let's talk about how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. We're going to break down two of the biggest, most common threats that you and I face every single day. And we're going to start with the one that's all about the keys to your entire digital life, your passwords. The official term for this is credential abuse. And really, it's as simple as it sounds. A bad guy gets their hands on your login info, your username and password, and then they just walk right in. The real question, though, is how do they get that information to begin with? Well, there are a few common ways. A huge one is data breaches. You remember those massive hacks at big companies, right? Millions of passwords just get dumped online. Sometimes it's much simpler. They just guess really common passwords. You'd be shocked how many people still use password 123. Or they use programs that just automatically try every single word in the dictionary until something works. And this one's a bit scary. If your web browser isn't up to date, certain types of malware can literally just steal the passwords you have saved. So this brings us to a question you should really ask yourself right now. Think about your most important passwords. Is it just a single word, maybe with a number at the end? Because if it is, if it's a common word or your kid's name or a simple pattern, you're basically leaving the front door wide open for these attackers. This is why all the experts are saying we need to completely change how we think about this. Forget trying to remember crazy passwords with a bunch of symbols and numbers you'll never recall. The new way, the better way, is to think passphrase, not password. Here's a perfect example. Weebles wobbled, but they don't fall down. I mean, it's just a silly line from an old commercial, right? But look at it. It's super long, it's got spaces, it's ridiculously easy for a human to remember, but for a computer trying to guess it, it's a nightmare. It would take them, literally, billions of years. That's the secret. Length is so much more important than complexity. All right, so if credential abuse is all about a thief trying to pick your lock, this next threat is totally different. This is about the thief tricking you into just handing them the key. And that, my friends, is the art of social engineering. And that's the key thing to understand. Social engineering isn't about hacking technology. It's about hacking people. It works by exploiting our very own human nature against us. Our instinct to be helpful, our default sense of trust, maybe a little bit of fear of getting into trouble. They use our own psychology to trick us into doing something we absolutely shouldn't. And I bet you've seen these in the wild. Phishing, that's the classic one, the fake email scam. Then there's smishing, think S for SMS. That's the same scam, but over a text message. Vishing, think V for voice. That's when they call you up on the phone. And then you have business email compromise, which is a bit more sophisticated. That's when an attacker pretends to be your boss or a supplier, trying to get you to wire money or send over sensitive files. Okay, let's look at a real-world case to see just how sneaky and effective this can be. Imagine you get a text message, totally out of the blue. It says you missed a toll payment and you owe a tiny fee, and you need to pay it right now to avoid a bigger fine. Seems pretty minor, right? Almost harmless. Well, from just one single campaign using that exact scam, attackers stole, wait for it, 884,000 credit card numbers. 884,000. That just shows you the power of a simple message that creates a sense of urgency. It plays on that little voice in our head that just wants to get the problem solved and move on. Okay, so we've talked about the bad guys and their tricks. Enough of that. Let's get to the most important part of this whole thing. What can you do about it? Let's build a simple, powerful action plan right now. Here we go. Just 4 steps. That's it. First, use a passphrase, not a password. We covered that one. Second, turn on something called multi-factor authentication, or MFA, on every account that offers it. Third, and this is a big one, just pause. Think before you click on anything that looks even a little bit weird. And fourth, if you see something, say something. Report anything suspicious. And let's talk about that MFA thing for a second, because it sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is you need more than just a password to log in. It's a second layer of proof. It combines something you know, your passphrase, with something you have, which is usually your phone. So even if a hacker steals your passphrase, they're still stuck. They can't get in because they don't have your phone in their hand to approve the login. Honestly, it's one of the best things you can do to protect your accounts. You know, when it all comes down to it, you can boil most of this down to one simple, easy-to-remember phrase. If you get an email, a text, a phone call, anything that you weren't expecting, you have to suspect it. That little bit of healthy skepticism, it's your absolute best defense against all these social engineering tricks. And I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on, because this stuff isn't standing still. The threats are always evolving. We're heading into a world where AI can perfectly fake your boss's voice over the phone. I mean, they can do it in seconds. So how will you know who to trust? It just proves that building that human firewall, that instinct to pause, to verify, to be suspicious, it's more important than it has ever been. The tech will always change, but the core principles of staying safe, those are here to stay.